Chris from Ovation Boats. I am so pleased to have you here in the studio. Now, before we get into the nuts and bolts of the business, you have a really interesting backstory of how it all started. So where did your love of boats begin?
When I was, I guess, 15, at school, down in West London, at London Borough of Hillingdon, who had three youth and community boats. So it was our metalwork teacher and woodwork teacher who used to take groups of kids, which obviously included myself, for weekends and the occasional week during the summer.
I bet you that was a really enjoyable time. What are some of the memories that you have from those days of youth?
Well, it would have included 1976, when we, obviously, as we know, we didn't have a lot of water about. It was very, very hot, much like we were experiencing
Now.
now. Yeah, and then that went on to, I suppose, in my late teens as a part-time boatman for Hillingdon Borough, accompanying sort of different youth groups.
Did you ever imagine, though, that in your teens that this would actually become your career?
No, because from a job, it was only 2005 that I actually sort of got into this industry for earning, earning money from, as it were. Everything up to then was all been leisure, pleasure.
I mean, we have now a lot of youth in the country, and when they're looking at prospective jobs, I think now a lot of it is more media-based, influencer-based. Do you think they're missing a trick when it comes to the absolute fun of some of these industries and the skills that they can learn?
Yeah, I guess so. Yes, yeah.
You also lived on a narrowboat, I believe, for around about 20 years. What was that like, living on the waterways?
Yeah, it was enjoyable. I've been on lots of holidays on boats, so I sort of kind of knew very much what it was, probably what it was going to be like. I guess you have certain routines that you've got to do that you don't get in the house, like filling up with water and gas, toilet, all that type of stuff, which in the house it just sort of happens in the background and you don't need to worry about it.
Do you think, though, that expertise of like having 20 years on the water also helped so that you can help customers in the future?
Yeah, well, I think, not only myself, most of the people in Ovation Boats either have lived on boats or most still do. So I think it is very, very handy having that knowledge, because all the people building boats understand what it's going to be like to use the boat when it's finished.
Now, there was one particular special boat. It was a commercial narrowboat called Skylark. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, Skylark was a boat built for a company called Calvert and Cowper, which is a Manchester company up at Trafford Park that made chemicals. And it's the boat back in the mid-30s when it was built, spent most of its life travelling between Manchester and Coventry, to Courtholes in Coventry, carrying chemicals.
The other part of your life is that you were into surveying. So was this before that you started Ovation Boats?
Yeah, I started surveying again about 2005 when I first started that. As it was surveying and also gas work on boats as well. The boat building came about 2015, I guess. I'd done a number of second-hand boats before that, sort of weekends and evenings.
So did the surveying really, really help you then with this business? Did it give you extra knowledge and insight?
Yes, it does. It's I do have a very good knowledge of standards and what is required of when a boat, the compliance things that it needs to comply with.
And with these things with surveying and compliance, do you obviously sometimes get some boats and then you see them and look at them and think, oh dear, what have we got here? What has been like refurbished and it's an absolute mess and got problems instantly? Do you see a lot of that?
You do. Well, when you say surveying second-hand boats, yes, you can certainly see things that maybe haven't been as they should have been from the outset, really.
Give us an example. What was one where you thought, oh my goodness, what? I'm surprised it's still afloat.
Well, I suppose with the hull, the hulls aren't so much of it. It's more the inside of the boat. It's more probably maybe gas work and stuff like that. You look at a gas system and you just know that it hasn't been installed by someone that knows what they should have been doing.
And gas is actually a pretty lethal thing,
Yeah, it is, yes.
So you wouldn't really want to go messing about with that one, would you?
No.
Now, so you started doing the surveying, and then you start Ovation Boats. Was it like a natural progression? Did you actually start out doing like refit of existing boats, or did you immediately go into boat building?
No, it was a brand new shell that was bought with the intention of building the boat, fitting the whole boat out, and then putting it on the market for sale. That was the first boat that we did.
I mean, it's an incredible achievement because, the thing is that boat building in itself, it's very, very technical. There's a lot to it, a lot more than people do not understand. Do you think that has to factor in when costs come involved? Because I know people want everything as cheap as they can get, but actually sometimes cheapness doesn't solve the problem, does it? It can cause you more problems.
No. I guess with not everything, but with a lot of aspects of a boat, and I guess with other things as well, it's not necessarily more expensive to do it properly. It's just that you can do it this way or that way, and that way's wrong and that way's right. It may not necessarily cost more money, although I guess it does if you need to get outside trades in to do work. That probably would cost more money, yes.
I mean, imagine you've got a very good team behind you.
Yeah, excellent. Yes.
How did you go about as a businessman to actually source the people and keep them within the business? Because that can be a struggle for people.
Yeah, I guess most, probably three out of the team of people that I've known for quite a long time. Before I started boat building, I've met them surveying and doing other things in connection with boats.
So that's a great strength there, having a great team, isn't it? It's a great strength.
No, brilliant, yeah, absolutely.
Because I'd imagine there's lots of occasions where maybe you can't be there and then somebody else can drop in and help you. So what do you think the fundamentals are of actually getting a good team? How do you go about sourcing? You've known three, but how did you go about getting the other three?
Well, I guess you kind of, most of the other people are from around where the workshop is, so you get to know them, maybe not that well, but you get to sort of weigh them up, if you like, and maybe when they've worked for other people, you can sound people out, I guess. But yeah, the team is it's essential, really. I mean, if there wasn't a team of people there, then there wouldn't be anything, if I'm honest.
No, that's it. And you can't. It's not something you can do all on your own either, is it?
No.
Most definitely not. Now, with regard to the team, I hear that the people in your workshop, they actually live on narrowboats themselves.
Yeah, everybody does actually. Yeah, they do. Apart from myself now, but yeah.
So obviously they have a passion for the boats as much as you do. Do you think that helps you?
Yeah, tremendously.
And how many boats do you usually have in build at any one time?
We've probably stepped it up a little bit recently over the last couple of years, but three or four boats a year is the aim. So at a time, there's normally two, sometimes three, but they're obviously at various stages of build.
I mean, when a customer comes to you and said, "I'd like one of these boats," what is the step-by-step process? Because, I could say to you, well, I'd like one of these narrowboats, but I know nothing about a build. What advice would you give me, and what process do you have?
Well, I guess every process has got to start off with something, and there's nothing worse than sitting there with a blank piece of paper and sort of like wondering what to put down. So normally what happens is I can send people what we would classed as a standard boat, and that enables them to read through that, and with the standard plan as well. It enables them to read through that, and I think if you're reading something that you don't want, then you can clearly put a cross through it and change it for what you do want, and I think that process is much easier than, as I say, having a blank piece of paper and wondering what you need to be thinking about. Some people have got, well, lots of people, if I'm honest, have got their ideas of what they want. Some to a lesser extent. I guess the guys, if I'm honest, we have had a couple of boats that we've done where, there's maybe been a few things which sort of stipulated this is what I want, but after that, you guys get on with it. You know what you're doing. Which is quite an interesting way of carrying on, really.
So they get the plan and the outline, and then obviously, do they come and see it at various stages of build, or do they just tend to wait until the end?
No. There's normally, I guess, I don't know, probably every 3 weeks, I would think, maybe a visit to check out things and how it's all going. And we've always got a list of questions as well, that things that need clarifying.
Well, that's it, because there's obviously different tastes of various things. Now, especially, I suppose, once you've got it built, and then you start to now look at the interiors. I mean, how have things changed over the years? Because, I mean, I suppose it's just like the caravan industry. I remember them back in the 70s. It was a little bit primitive, Chris, and now it's got very, very modern. Are people expecting them type of things on narrowboats as well?
Yes, I mean, it would have gone, as you say, from fairly primitive. So probably 25, 30 years ago, most boats would be fairly basic. With a battery, maybe a couple of batteries, lights, TV, probably not. Maybe a lot of dark wood would have been. That was quite fashionable. Whereas now it's much lighter finishes. I think over time people have moved away from traditional. I guess there's probably more boats that you wouldn't class as a traditional type narrowboat, which would be based on the old working boats like the Skylark that you mentioned earlier on, that I had. So yeah, tastes definitely change.
And I suppose that's also up to your team to keep up with these trends and things. When somebody asks, it's like, oh, right, okay, here's something else now, because there's all sorts of new technologies going through, aren't there?
Yeah, sure. I think it's important not to sort of dismiss sort of new ideas, because obviously if you did, then nothing would evolve. It would all remain the same. So I think you've got to look at different ideas and see how they can be accommodated. And
do you actually have boats for people that are just already done? Or do you not have that type of stock yet?
Occasionally.
And I bet you they get snapped up fairly quickly.
Yes, yeah.
People are keen to get on that water, aren't they?
Yes, they are, yes, indeed.
Now, you said about the shells. Now, you don't actually build the steel shell yourselves, do you? How do you go about that and finding a person who's responsible and give that quality?
Well, we have 2/3 shell builders that we use. I mean, we're not fixed to any shell builder. So if someone comes to us and says we want you to fit a boat out, but we want the shell to be built by XYZ company, then that's not an issue to us. But most I mean, again, I guess it's people that you get on quite well with, got a good rapport with. We're heavily involved. Although we don't build the steel, but we are heavily involved with the fabrication when it stipulating what's required and making regular. Well, I suppose it's the same as when our customers come to us. We equally go to the shell builder to check up on things and make sure that we're going to arrive at the door what we're expecting.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Because, I mean, do you often hear horror stories from people to say that they got a boat and it wasn't what they expected? Have you ever had that customer who said, you know, Chris, I need you to build one because, you know, what I've had in the past has not been great?
I don't know. I've actually, if I'm honest, had a customer come to me and say, but certainly within the industry, you certainly hear of, yeah,
Stories.
Stories, yes, tales like that, yes.
If you were advising someone, you know, what should they look out for when looking at buying a narrowboat?
I think do your homework. I guess it's maybe I suppose doing homework can get a bit boring, can't it? But you know, do your homework and your research and take your time. You know, don't rush into things.
Are there certain safety standards though? Because that's not something I'm aware of the boat itself and what it must attain.
Well, there are. We have. It's a European process called the Recreational Craft Directive, which is what the boat needs to comply with when it's new, and there's a whole heap of standards that relate to that. And then once the boat's completed, it's very similar to a car MOT. It's a 4-yearly assessment that's, as I say, very similar principle to a car MOT.
Wow, I actually never knew that.
All right.
It's quite interesting to know though, because you know these are the things that you know people need to know when they're buying a boat. Do you actually do wide beams as well?
Yes, can do. Yeah, we don't. I mean, the wide beam market isn't as big as the narrowboat market, anyway. But we've done a couple of wide beams, and we certainly have. But it does take room in the workshop.
I was going to say they're pretty big. They're pretty big. You know, I've been one of the canals, and I thought, well, I can't see that going very far. It's like I think it was more stationary because that's the problem, isn't it? Some of they can't get through the canal networks now.
Yes.
I mean, the canals itself. I mean, I've noticed over the past few years, in particular, I think the waterways are really trying to improve the canals from what they were even a few years ago. Do you see that as a business, that there's actually a little bit more interest and a little bit more where people are taking care of the canals?
Yeah, I guess there is. I suppose, like with everything else, though, there's a shortage of funds, isn't there?
Yeah.
For everything. And I think keeping up with maintenance it's not easy. It's not easy to do. But certainly wide beams. On that, there's certainly more out there than there used to be.
I know there seem to be a lot around London,
yes.
In the Thames, just like little floating palaces, aren't there? Now the prices of them.
Some, I mean, I guess it's you get a variety of prices, but again, I guess compared to renting bricks and mortar, particularly in London, it's it is certainly a cheap way of living. But there is a lot of people doing it though.
I mean, talking about living, I mean, obviously people can live on these boats. They're not just used for pleasure. Some do, some don't. You know, what is it like living on a waterway? What sort of challenges do you come up against? I mean, because some people say, well, do you choose to stay in a marina? Do you just like move every week or two? What are those challenges?
Well, you get people that are classed as continuous cruisers, where, I mean, not always, but mostly that would be people that have retired, and they would travel around, through the whole network. Some might do it quickly, some might do it slowly. Often in the winter time, you get stoppages in the winter time when it's difficult to navigate where you want to. So probably in the winter time, people are more static, tied to a particular location.
I know the facility's fairly good, because I remember someone saying once to me that they had a canal boat, and that there wasn't many places to do a lot of the servicing and everything else. Is that now gaining in popularity and there are more places?
There's most marinas offer facilities like that, and I think once you know what's available, it's probably more there than what might seem to be the case in the first instance.
Now, we talked a little bit about price range of the wide beams. What would be your opinion of what you could get a decent new build narrowboat for? What are the fluctuations in prices, and what can people expect, size-wise and everything?
Well, a typical narrowboat is 60 foot long, some down to 57. Typical price is probably about 180. That's 180,000, including the VAT. We'd get you a very, very nice boat.
All kitted out and everything ready to go?
All kitted out, maybe not a lot of frills on it, but yes, it certainly would.
So go on, if you wanted the frills, what could that set me back? I look at the husband and think, just getting the moths out the pockets.
Probably 350 would be towards the top end.
And we talked about the interiors. Is the layouts changing inside? Are they wanting more like the separate bedrooms and everything else, and even like stoves and everything in there now? Yeah,
layouts. So you used to get what tends to get classed as traditional layout, which has got a bedroom at the back, lounge at the front, and then galley or kitchen next to the lounge, and then the bathroom. Well, that's sort of flipped around the other way now to what's called reverse layout. So that's a bedroom at the front, followed by a bathroom, then a lounge, then a galley.
That's
so it's
amazing.
A complete reversal. But I think it's because it tends to be more sociable like that, particularly if you're boating.
Yeah.
If you've got the lounge at the front of the boat, bedroom at the back, people steering the boat, they're completely divorced from maybe the people that were in the living room.
Exactly.
At the front of the boat.
You don't think of it like that, right? But now it actually does make sense when you think about it. Now the other thing seems to be the difference in like the hybrid and electric over traditional diesel. Mm-hmm. You're seeing more change to that.
Yes, I'm certainly more interested in hybrid. Personally, I'm not. I haven't quite sort of made up my mind about pure electric. I think there's lots of it out there, certainly, but I do think it's probably an area of the market that's got to develop a bit more. I think. If you've got an electric engine, you always end up, you always, nearly always anyway, end up with a generator as well. There's no charging facilities out there.
That's what I was thinking, you see, earlier on when I said about the facilities of things. It's like, that's still got to gather a bit of pace and momentum, hasn't it?
Yeah, so it's it's not like the electric car, for example, where with a boat, you might be able to book into a marina and plug into their electrics to charge up, but the charging capacity is almost certainly not going to be that great. So without having that infrastructure there, which I guess I'm sure over time will increase, the same as it is with cars. So maybe in years to come it won't be such an issue, and therefore without having that infrastructure, you've really got to have a generator, and
How much as well do you think solar is coming into the boats?
Well, solar's I mean solar when the sun's out. Solar is really really good. I mean I've boat that we've just taken an order for. That they want a lot of solar on the boat, which I've said, and they're living on the boat permanently as well. So I've said to them, the solar is brilliant.
Yeah.
But you've got to think about what's it going to be like on the boat in February.
Yeah.
In November, when you haven't got that solar because the sun won't be out, it won't be doing hardly anything for you. And at those times of the year, you're inside the boat. In the summer, you're probably outside the boat. you're going to be using more power in those times of the year. So the solar's great, but I think you need to make sure that it's all going to work in the sort of darker times of the year.
I mean, yeah, they're enjoying it now with this British weather, but yeah, there is them little technicalities. Now, I hear you've enjoyed great success at the Crick Boat Show, and voted among the top 3 favourite boats. Go on, you've got to sell yourself now, Chris.
Well, we got second favourite in show this year, 2026.
Wow.
I nearly said 25 then, but 2026. Yeah, we got second in show this year, and we got third in show in, I think it was 2022.
I mean, that's quite some boat show. For anybody who hasn't been to it, just give them a little bit of a flavour of it.
Well, I think, I know, I mean, sort of inland waterwise, canal boats, wide beams, that sector of the industry, it's the only boat show really that we have now. It's very well attended. There's a good selection of different boat builders there. So yeah, certainly if you're looking to get a boat, new or second hand, I think it's a good opportunity to visit and see what is out there.
Now, seen on the television, there's lots of different series out. I think Prunella Scales was one of them, where she was travelling up and down the waterways. Would you always suggest to people that they maybe take some holidays and take some time and actually get to learn how to use and work the canals?
Yeah, I would do. I think it's it would be good to start off with a day trip. Hire a boat for a day. There's numerous outlets for that, and then obviously if that sort of ticks your boxes, then you could maybe up that to maybe hire a boat for a weekend, and then maybe a week, and see how you get on. I think if you're looking to live on the boat maybe permanently, then where you come, there's not so many hire boats in the winter time, but there are some about. But I think not only do that in sort of June, July, August time, but do it in the late autumn as well, so you can maybe experience what it's possibly going to be like.
Yeah, because I mean the thing is as well is there's a lot of people who've never really been on the canal network, and there's a lot to it with the locks and everything.
Yes.
Is it easy to pick up, or does it take a little time to get used to certain things, do you think?
I think it's easy. Yeah, I think it's not that complicated. I guess like most things, you can refine it and maybe become more efficient and stuff like that, and do things a better way. I guess you've got that can be learnt, but the basics of taking a boat through a lock is comparatively straightforward.
As long as you follow the rules.
Yeah.
Now, once one of your customers takes delivery of one of your gorgeous boats, the relationship doesn't end there, does it? You do a lot of aftercare with people. Yeah,
I mean, I think most boats that we've built, we remain in contact with people. There's probably a couple of boats I guess I can think of where we haven't sort of continued any sort of contact, but most of them we have. We see them at shows. This year at Crick, we had a number of I don't know, probably 4 or 5 I think boat owners came to sort of see us at the show. One of our previous boat called Willow, that was at the show. We've recently put together a Facebook group called Applauders.
Yes, I saw that.
Did you? Right, okay.
And they all have a good chat with each other, don't they?
Well, I think so. The Applauders, I kind of think if I need to explain it, it doesn't maybe work, but the idea is Ovation Boats, standing ovation.
Oh.
You're applauding. That's that. It's maybe a bit deep, I don't know, but that's.
No, I think that's good.
That's where the name Applauders came from.
And I suppose there's some quite interesting conversations that pop up, Chris.
Well, yes, I mean, there's a number of the number of our boat owners. So the idea of it's obviously a Facebook group for people that own Ovation Boats. That's the idea of it. And we have also, again, part of that research, if you're looking to have a boat built, if we've got people that are seriously considering us as a builder, we'll put them on that applauders group, so they get the opportunity to ask questions of Ovation or to Ovation owners.
Yeah, and I suppose that's really quite a nice little support network, especially for newbies.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they can check us out, I guess.
And also, I mean, with the customers as well, I mean, the thing is that I was a powerboat owner, and I know that you have to look after and maintain your boat. It's not just a case of, I've got this boat, off I go, and I can do as I like. It needs maintaining. What are the things that boat owners, especially narrowboat owners, should look at maintaining every year?
Yeah, it does. I think with a boat, it's a bit different to a house, really. I mean, I suppose in simple terms, I think with bricks and mortar, by and large, you can probably safely say that if you didn't do anything to your house for 10 or 15 years, or maybe even 20 years, it's probably not going to have affected it that much. Whereas a boat, you've got to keep on top of cleaning things and maintenance, and I think it's important to have a list of a sort of like maintenance program, if you like. Things that you do every month, things you do every year. And if things break and wear out, is to get them replaced. And
that's where you can help them too.
We can do, and we don't tend to do so much work after. I mean, our focus is building new boats, but
you've got contacts.
Yeah, we've got contacts. Yes.
So finally, what is next for Ovation Boats? Where do you see the business and yourself going? What sort of things are you looking at doing?
I don't particularly see the business getting larger than it is at the moment. I think it's quite nice where it's sort of comparatively small, and I guess
give the dedication to.
Well,
the
I guess
boat.
managing, quite. I think if you start getting too big, then things potentially get out of control. Really, and it
becomes less enjoyable.
Yeah, probably less enjoyable. You probably lose the passion as well, and stuff like that. I guess if it gets too big.
Is there anything that keeps you awake at night where you think, uh-oh?
No,
you're doing very well. Right, I have got some quickfire questions for you personally now.
Oh dear, okay.
I know. Everybody loves these bits, but you have to do it because you come on my podcast. Anyway, do you like a more traditional feel narrowboat or a modern luxury fit out? What's your choice?
Personally, it's traditional.
Yeah. They just have something beautiful about them, don't they? Classy. Yeah, I agree. What is one feature do you think every narrowboat should have?
One feature.
What wouldn't you be without? Apart from your bed.
Well, you've got to have a windlass to do a lock. One feature.
I think because you're quite traditional, you can go without the comforts a bit. I think you could navigate that quite well, couldn't you? Other people would not know it needs Wi-Fi, it needs this, it needs the other.
I guess, but I also guess the older you get, maybe a sort of
simpler things need to be.
Yeah.
What is your favourite stretch of canal anywhere in the UK?
Probably the Shropshire Union, I think. Yes.
That's lovely.
Yeah, I would
It
think
is
so,
gorgeous. Yeah, I actually agree with you there. In fact, one of my friends actually took a boat down there, and the pictures were stunning. Absolutely stunning. Yeah. And if you weren't building boats, Chris, what do you think you'd be doing? Apart from in a beach.
I No, if I wasn't building them, I'd probably be on one enjoying myself, I suspect. How about that?
That's a good answer. That's it. Retirement. That's what you're thinking of. Well, Chris, thank you so much for coming into the studio. Thank you for answering some sometimes tricky questions, but interesting ones that is actually going to benefit people who are looking at buying a boat. And if you are interested in buying a boat and like what Chris is saying, why don't you check out his website and get in touch with him? All the details are linked below in the bio. So it just remains to be said, thank you so much, Chris.
Thank you.
May business continue booming, and I'm sure anyway you're number one at the Crick Boat Show for me anyway. So that's that said. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you indeed.